Gotta get it in.
Get to the bucket.
Fukumoto kicks. Smeens, 3-ball, no good. Ball on the floor. Arel Steen didn't get it. And that's it. King David, just like their namesake, have slayed Goliath. Unity Christian goes down 72-68, the final score.
That's what it sounded like earlier this month when Vancouver's King David High School Lions senior boys basketball team won the BC Provincial Championship. King David's one of the country's largest private Jewish day schools. The victory happened Saturday night, March 11th, in an arena in Langley, and it was a come-from-behind game. The Lions were ranked number 2 in the province in their division. They were playing their longtime rivals Unity Christian of Chilliwack. The number 1 team has held the title for 2 years. But thanks to the Lions' run of scoring 12 points in the last 7 minutes of the game, the Jewish teens came out on top. They brought home the blue and gold banner and some trophies for the top players, but also the satisfaction of knowing they'd made history for their school and the Jewish community. Maybe it was talent mixed in with a bit of extra Jewish good luck because it was head coach David Amram's 18th year in the job, and there were some rabbis in the stands chanting prayers and even blowing shofars. But after all the celebrating on the court and the posing for team photos and even the follow-up assembly in the school when they got back, some of the star players are looking back at the milestone with mixed emotions.
And I think we couldn't have drawn it up any better. Like it was all the guys that we've been playing basketball with for 5 years. The perfect ending, kind of guys were crying after the game because we knew it was the last. It was the last dance, and it's really magical it ended the way it did.
I'm Ellen Besner, and this is what Jewish Canada sounds like for Tuesday, March the 21st, 2023. Welcome to the CJN Daily, a podcast of the Canadian Jewish News, sponsored by Metropia. Jesse Millman was named the tournament's most valuable player. He started playing basketball because his father played varsity basketball in his day at McGill and then UBC. Ezra Heayie was named championship player after the final game, and he hopes to go on to play basketball in college. And although co-captain Joseph Gabay's dad played hockey, not basketball, the 17-year-old's 6'4" frame made him the Lions' natural center. Gabay racked up 22 points and 6 rebounds for the victory. The three have been playing for the Lions for 5 years, and in that time, they say they haven't personally experienced anti-Semitism on the court, although they've heard about it happening. But being the only Jewish team in the BC Senior Boys Varsity Basketball League did have its challenges. And coming up, we'll talk about that with the athletes and their coach right after this message.
During World War II, the Nazis began a little-known program of extermination for their own children. In Peter Klenott's new mystery thriller, The Unwanted, 14-year-old Hannah Ziegler is being driven by her grandfather and her psychiatrist to a euthanasia center. 16-year-old Silke Hartenstein graces the cover of Nazi propaganda magazines. Avi Kreisler is a Munich police detective rounded up for Dachau. And a patrician father hopes his son David McAuliffe will be elected the first Catholic president of the United States. In The Unwanted, in the aftermath of war, revenge brings these 4 people together in ways unimaginable. The Unwanted. Do not skip to the last page. Find it at Amazon and Barnes & Noble.
And joining me now are player Jesse Millman, coach David Amram, and players Joseph Gabay and Ezra Heayie.
Thank you for having us.
Well, it's great to meet you guys. Are you still celebrating, or have you kind of recovered a bit from the excitement?
It hasn't really hit me yet, to be honest. There's so much celebration and stuff that happened right after the games, and I couldn't really believe what happened. As soon as the buzzer went, I knew something special was going on, but I think it's going to take a while before it fully settles in. We're
recording a few days after the tournament. I need to know, what do you get for winning, like stuff-wise?
There's a lot of hardware. So there's 2 kind of provincial championship trophies, one that we get to keep and one that cycles around through the winners year after year. So there's 2. They have the province of British Columbia on them. They're very big, very nice. There's an MVP trophy, which is the most valuable player of the tournament, and there's also 2 trophies. Ezra can speak to this because you got one of them.
Yeah, there's 2 other trophies that our teammates got, and it's All-Star, so it's recognizing some of the best players in the tournament. And on top of that, we have a really big, nice banner that we have hanging right in front of our school. So it's really nice to see that.
The kids also everyone got a provincial championship T-shirt. And they gave us, Jostens is, I guess, one of the supporters or sponsors, and they gave us ring sizing, like sample ring sizes, because we're each going to get a ring.
Yeah, that's pretty good swag. I mean, it's probably not going to be as big as like the Super Bowl ring, but for you guys, it's pretty important, right?
Yeah.
Fewer diamonds. But what about in terms of just the league that you play in itself? Maybe you can, because this is a bit of background. A lot of the schools are faith schools. Are they all faith schools, or some of them are public schools?
So we play in two leagues. One's called Javisa, the Greater Vancouver Independent Secondary Athletic Association. Those are in general mostly private schools, but since the pandemic, we've invited smaller public schools as well, because for a while they weren't having any sports for those schools, and we wanted to be inclusive that way. And we also play what's called the Sea to Sky Highway Zone, which is the route to provincials for us. To get to this one, you have to win the Sea to Sky Highway one, or place really, really well in that tournament. And so we actually had a triple crown this year. We won all 3 banners for the first time in our school's history.
I want to ask about the tournament itself. I want you to take me back, and maybe the players can help me here. I read that the team you beat, you were second seed, and you beat the first seed, who were the champions from last 2 years, right?
Yeah.
So what happened last year that you were eliminated early?
Last year we were having a really good season. We had a good run, and we were the 6th seed playing the 11th seed, and it was a hard battle. But in the end, they beat us out by, I think it was 4 points.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I was unable to play because I got injured throughout near the middle of the season. So it was hard to watch from the sideline, and they just out-battled us. We just didn't execute properly. But this year, in the semifinal, we got revenge against them, and we beat them by a pretty good margin.
What was wrong last year? What was your injury?
A broken elbow.
Did you break it while you were playing? Was this a basketball injury?
Yeah, I got pushed out of the air during one of our games.
So you were fouled?
Correct. They didn't call a foul, but yeah.
Because I read that it wasn't a full team, but I didn't understand what that meant. So this year, everybody who's on the team was allowed to play, was healthy-ish.
Yeah.
I think by this point, when you're involved in 3 different banners, 3 different associations, everybody's playing hurt, banged up. It's just too many games in a short period of time to not be feeling it.
Well, I think it's because it was your 18th year, so you had high luck, and that's why, right? Your 18th year coaching.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Also,
at King David.
Yeah. Also, a difference between last year and this year is that a lot, because this year's team was primarily composed of seniors. We knew it was our last chance to do some damage. And last year there was no grade 12s on the team, so it's almost like we weren't playing with this sense of urgency that it's going to be the last time we're playing high school basketball, because it wasn't true. And so this year, I think that definitely helped us, knowing that every game could be our last, and we had to give it our all.
What was it like watching from, 7 minutes to go? How did you turn it around?
You can't get too low, even when you're down by a decent margin. You just got to keep your head in the game. And then I think it was Christian Galaska that hit a 3 to start the run. And when that happened, that really sent a lot of energy into the crowd. And that energy kind of infused into us on the court, and we went on a big run. So having the fans definitely helped.
Does the King David team have a specific cheer that they do, or the fans? Is there a special?
Well, we're the Lions, so they say "Let's go Lions." But
I think I'm pretty sure there was some. There was a lot of rabbis in the crowd. I think 2 or 3, and they were kind of leading. Just the songs you would sing at shul or something, like Oseh Shalom or the classics. They were doing those, which is definitely native to our team, because we're the only Jewish team, of course. So I think that was our signature chant from the crowd.
That's fun. Being the only Jewish team, you had challenges, I read, about where you played, what days you played, what hours you played. Maybe somebody could walk us through that challenge and how you navigated that. What was that all about?
So after winning the semifinal, we were supposed to play at 1:30 p.m. or at 1:45 p.m. On the center court, which was it could seat a lot of people, like thousands of seats, and that's like one of the places that everyone wants to play, because that's where you can get exposure. Lots of people who come to your games, but it was on a Saturday, so it was during Shabbat, and we had to respect our our culture and our religion. So we had to reschedule the game, or we got the game rescheduled to 8:30, which was at the same time as another game. So it wasn't ideal, but we had to value our traditions and culture, because at the end of the day we're a Jewish school, and regardless, we went out there and we played basketball and we got the job done.
I don't know if you're aware of Ryan Terrell. You must be.
Yeah.
Hello. I mean, who wouldn't be if you're playing basketball in a Jewish school? But is that some kind of a role model for you guys, or are you more the Washington Wizards player type role model, right?
I think it's definitely cool, and I think the difference between him and players like Denny Avdija and is that, you know, he's wearing the kippah during his games, and that sets him aside from everyone, of course, because it's a physical symbol of his faith. And I think his confidence sends a really strong message to people like us, young Jewish basketball players, whether we would wear a kippah or not. I mean, not to speak for the guys, but I don't think we would if we went to that level. But I think it's remarkable that he's so proud of his Jewish identity in a sports sense. I think it's really nice to see.
Anybody else want to weigh in on that?
Well, I also look up to Ryan Terrell, because like he really inspired a lot of Jewish kids to like really push and like pursue their dreams, because it's possible. You can be proud of your heritage and be on the main stage. Like, he had many Division I offers. He could have went to any other university and played like high major basketball, but he chose to go to a D3 school, and which was Yeshiva University in New York. So it's a really shocking move to a lot of people, but at the end of the day, he valued his culture a lot. So it's remarkable.
I mean, there are not that many in the NBA altogether. I mean, there were, Tal Brody and some of the older players from the OGs, as I guess you would say, right? I want to ask about how you all three got into basketball, because Canada is a hockey city. Vancouver is a hockey. They had the Grizzlies, but they're not there anymore. So maybe each one of you would like to just tell me why you chose to be on the basketball. I mean, okay, you're tall, so that's one reason, but
I just, back in the backyard as a kid with my dad, just playing casual, fun basketball. And then going to elementary school, I went to Vancouver Hebrew Academy, and there was no basketball team there. And they outside, they had like a 7-foot rim that I would practice on and shoot around on every day at lunch and recess. And then my first organized basketball was when I came to King David in grade 8. And that's when I kind of got more serious about it and was actually working towards a goal while playing basketball.
And is there basketball in your family, or are they different sports?
No, my dad was a hockey player, but I think the grit of hockey from my dad
Totally
kind of carried over into my game.
Okay, Ezra, but you, how did you get into basketball?
Always played basketball ever since a really young age. I remember 3rd grade, something like that. So when I was starting to play ball, just at elementary school, after school every day, I just play with a group of friends, and I started playing organized basketball in, I think, 6th grade, where I just went to a summer camp, and I think that's what really inspired me to keep going. And I developed a lot of skill along the way, and it allowed me to create a lot of relationships with other people, because on the basketball court, me personally, that's where I feel the most comfortable, and I can really relate to other people who also play the same sport as me. So yeah, it's really helped me.
And what about you, Jesse?
Well, my dad played university ball at McGill and at UBC, and in the last 2 seasons, this is not really related, but just funny, in the last 2 seasons of my high school basketball career, I wore his number 30, which he wore at McGill and UBC, which was nice, and it worked out well. Actually, they didn't have 21, which I liked, and that was the one they had. It just happened to be a coincidence. But so me and my dad always used to shoot around. We had a basketball hoop in our backyard, and it was definitely one of my favorite things to do, because I definitely saw him as a role model. And of course, he'd hit every shot, and we'd spend a lot of time out there. And as I got older, I guess to grade 5, grade 6, grade 7, there kind of became a community around basketball, especially within my friends. We specifically went to the JCC every Saturday to play at open gym. And here there was a lot of older people, and it was an intimidating scene, but everyone was Jewish, so I felt at home, of course, and I was able to progress. Even some of the teachers at this school were at the open gym runs, and we were playing in. And I guess that's when I fell in love with it, and then I continued to play at summer camps, skill camps, then school.
So after this past weekend, that's it. You don't have any more practices. You're done. There are no more games, no more exhibition. Like that's it. Oh my God, that is quite upsetting, emotional. That's a thing to digest, is it not? How do you?
It's kind of bittersweet. Like we won the Triple Crown Zone Championship, Javisa Championship, and then Provincial Championship. And then now just knowing that we're never going to be able to play an official game together again is kind of a bittersweet thing. So
That's right.
I'm glad we went out on a good note. So we got a win for the last game of our high school careers. It was a great experience. I had lots of fun, and it's just the perfect ending to our journey.
You guys are doing what next year? Are you all going to go off to university or work or travel? What's your plan?
So for me personally, I'm planning on going to university. Not too sure where yet, but I'm still deciding that. I hope to play college basketball, to continue playing basketball. It's a sport that I love. I couldn't imagine just stopping playing now. But yeah.
Hopefully I'll be in Montreal, kind of where I want to be. Miguel likely. I'm thinking of my dad knows the coaching staff very well. He says he could give me a tryout if I wanted to. So the option's there for a tryout. We'd be a walk-on maybe, but it's definitely not my main focus, basketball. But I think it'd be really nice if I get to play either on the team or in a rec league or something.
Go to the Y. Yes. And
I'm also going to university, and I might do a walk-on tryout possibly, but basketball at this point also isn't one of my main priorities anymore.
I'm very actually surprised because I always thought that if you're that good, then you might want to continue. Weren't there scouts there at these, or I don't know if you call it combine or scouts or something?
There were several scouts and coaches at particular tournaments throughout the year. So, for example, using Ezra as an example, a couple coaches asked me about him, and there's always the potential to pay. And I think all three of them could have post-secondary basketball careers, but my gentlemen are very well-rounded, so I respect that.
All right, now I want to bring up something that I need to ask, because we've all been watching, of course, Kyrie Irving and anti-Semitism in sports, especially in basketball. So I want to get your feelings about that, because I'm sure people and your team talk about this. When you play, have you personally, any of you, experienced chirping, anti-Semitism, or worse on the court? And if so, how do you deal with it?
I've never personally experienced any form of anti-Semitism on the court. But that's just me. I'm not too sure about anyone else.
Yeah, that's the same with me. Yeah.
I remember there was this one story where we played against, it wasn't my team, but it was a senior team when I was a junior, and they played against some school, and there was some anti-Semitic comments being made, and I think there might have been an investigation or something, or people definitely took it seriously and stuff. And I remember hearing about that, and I remember it was the first kind of time I thought about whether I'm going to face that in sports the rest of my high school career, I guess. But luckily, I never experienced that in basketball or anything.
So I think most coaches take a lot of pride in how they're represented in the community, so they don't let their players speak like that. But I know which situation Jesse's talking about, and I observed that. And the good news was that once it was brought to the coach's attention, I thought he handled it very well. And there was consequences for the one or two students that were involved in saying some inappropriate slurs. And surprising to me, those are kids that, in their own faith, had experienced similar inappropriate language used towards them. So I was kind of surprised that they would resort to that. But in any event, I was quite happy with how the coach and the school handled it. We had another incident not in basketball, but in soccer over the last few years here in the Lower Mainland, where we've had, unfortunately, some kids and even some adults using inappropriate language. There was a situation more recently this past year where there was a team that decided to run a song or some basically background music that was very, very anti-Israel, pro-Palestinian. And, I have no problem with people advocating for their people, but when they are doing that at the expense of another group of people or adversely affecting another community, that to me isn't okay. And I can't speak to much more of that myself. I know our head of school dealt with it with the other schools involved, but so you'd have to reach out to our head of school to get more about that.
Right, because the reason I bring it up is I'm sure you heard what happened to the Winnipeg basketball team at the Grey Academy, right? It was in the news.
I vaguely know about it.
And the other team that was the people who were doing the whatever gestures or words that they said had their season forfeited and pulled from basketball for the rest of the season because it was the last straw. It wasn't just that they were doing it against Grey Academy, which is the Jewish high school, of course, in Winnipeg. They've been doing it before, right? And this was the last straw. So I just wondered what you guys encounter when you go in there as a Jewish team. Chirping happens.
Listen, a lot of kids have brought it to my attention in the past. Anytime someone brings it to me, I take it seriously. I speak to the opposing coach, but I usually in the moment try to tell the kids just to not lose their focus, to not take it personally, and to just ignore it and compete, and that trust that the adults afterwards will deal with it seriously.
Coach makes it very clear that we're representing our religion when we play because we're the only Jewish basketball team, I think, the high school in British Columbia, maybe even. So that's definitely related to us ensuring that we display a good image of our people because it is what we're doing whether we want to believe it or not. So I think if we can do that well and show that we respect them, then we'll get as much respect back.
And the final thing, I guess, is have you heard from any celebrities or anybody that's reached out to you? Maybe, I don't know, Seth Rogen or, I don't know, somebody famous that's wished you congratulations.
I wish. I don't think I've heard from any celebrities. Still waiting, though. I mean, maybe it's in the mail.
I actually went to school with Seth Rogen, so I know him. He about maybe 5 or 10 years ago, we spoke personally, and he said, keep up the good work or something to that effect, but nothing overt, nothing too exciting. A lot of coaches from around British Columbia have reached out to me, but I wouldn't. I mean, you can call them local celebrities, I suppose, but I think no Gordon Ramsays or anything like that.
And that's what Jewish Canada sounds like for this episode of the CJN Daily, sponsored by Metropia. Integrity, community, quality, and customer care. Today's listener shout-out goes to the family of the late Lou Billenkoff of Winnipeg. Don't miss our obituary on the website about the late bloomer who smashed world track records. And we'll end the show with some more of what the Lions' victory play-by-play sounded like. Thanks for listening. We'll be back tomorrow.
King David Lions, what an awesome day. Good for them. Huge victory for that community. And it seems like every single one in that community is here at this building. This place is packed. The floor is packed. Students are on the floor. Everyone's here. They're all celebrating.